Hi, I'm Gabby, and this is What Now, a podcast about figuring it out in real time. Today, I wanted to talk about the all consuming topic of uncertainty. Uncertainty has been bothering me a lot lately, given that I genuinely have no idea what my future looks like. And it's not that I'm stressed, I just like to know things, and I've really just done what I can, and it's up to the universe. And I feel like I'm just sitting and waiting, and I don't do so great with that always. So I was like, rather than keep freaking out about being in a period of uncertainty, I thought, you know what? Let me do a little research and learn about uncertainty and how it affects us and what methods out there can help us deal with it. So if you're an anxious one like me and hate uncertainty, this episode is for you. First things first, I always love a good excuse for why I think or feel a certain way when I don't understand it. And in fact, uncertainty is one of those. I read an article from Stanford University about living with uncertainty, and it explains that it's our human nature to crave certainty because our ancestors had to provide for themselves and their families, and they were constantly, focused on that and making sure that everybody was okay. And we all do the same today. Which is why we need to be more compassionate with ourselves about this craving we have for certainty, because it's literally built in you. It's like fight or flight mode. You can't help it, so we need to stop being hard on ourselves about it. Second thing I learned is that studies prove that those who are unemployed tend to have more mental health disorders than those who are. Having a job, a structure to your day-to-day life adds to this feeling that you have certainty in your life, so that would be the case. The final thing that I found in my research, which I thought was really interesting, it's two parts. First, a professor of psychology at the University of Maryland who studied people's need for cognitive closure, which he explains is the urge people have to feel that they've made a confident judgment about something. He found that these people don't want to be with uncertainty, so they will either jump to conclusions or experience black and white thinking. And he adds that this can lead to social and political consequences. And then I read another study that, interestingly, was talking about how those who experience self-uncertainty can reduce it through identifying with distinctive groups. A professor of social psychology at Claremont University discusses that if someone sees their uncertainty as a challenge and they have the resources or support to cope with it, they'll usually find identity in positive, meaningful groups. But if they experience that uncertainty as a threat, like they feel overwhelmed, isolated, or out of control, they're more likely to turn to extreme groups, because these groups offer fast answers, strong identities, and very clear rules to follow, even if it comes with a lot of rigid or dangerous thinking. So I thought this was interesting because it brings me to the next part of this episode, which is what I learned on how to manage your uncertainty. And one of the biggest things I found through what I read and learned is that one of the best and most effective ways is to think of uncertainty as a challenge versus something that is all consuming and scary and too difficult to deal with. Because when we view things as a challenge, it becomes empowering and can make us confident too, and we're more likely to be able to feel that we can conquer it versus try and do everything we can to just stay away from it. I was thinking about something kind of recently that my friends and I did, and I thought it was a pretty good example of this. So at the beginning of my last semester, my friends and I did a bingo board together where we all put things that we wanted to accomplish before the end of the semester. So one of mine was to run 3 miles, and if you're a runner, do not judge me because 3 miles really did not seem doable for me. I still don't consider myself a runner. Anyways, I would run sometimes before that, and I really didn't have any goal in mind, so I never really had a motivation to attain a certain time or a certain amount of miles. I just ran. But when I wanted to win bingo and get my 3 miles, let me tell you, I have never tried more running. And my friends can attest to this because I did send them screenshots of my mile time. Now, did I reach 3 miles? No. I maxed out at 2.5, but a win is a win. So for me, just changing my mindset to running as trying to get through this challenge and, because I really wanted to win bingo versus just mindlessly hoping something will happen really impacted me. I know it's a silly example, but it really showed me how a simple change in how you view something can make you more motivated to pursue something. Okay, another way to manage uncertainty is finding clarity by thinking of the worst. So, this is an exercise that I read about. And what you do is you think of a situation that's bothering you where you don't know the outcome. The next step is to think of the worst outcome that could happen. Then you ask yourself, if that did happen, what would I do next? What new path could I take? The professor from Maryland that I talked about before is the one who shared this, and he explains that having something ready prepares you if the worst does happen. And so it makes you realize that even if the worst happens, it isn't the end of the world. I love doing this because as an anxious girly, I learned about catastrophizing, which is literally when you think about the worst case situation. And sometimes it just helps to be like, okay, what if that did happen? The world still goes round and you're fine, Okay. The next methods I really liked come from the American Psychological Association. So the first is to take your own advice. And this means, what advice would you give your friend if they were going through your situation? Doing this can help you gain new perspectives, but I also think it gives you more compassion for yourself. I know I'm not the only one that is low-key a hypocrite to themselves. I will always apologize to my friends for talking about a certain situation over and over again, but I always tell them they can tell me anything and repeat it and whatever, because I just want them to feel that I can be there for them and they can tell me anything. So let me be cheesy for a sec and say we should be there for ourselves too. Okay, next one is reflect on your past successes. When I am in therapy and I literally tell my therapist that I hate how I don't know what my future looks like right now and it's stressing me out, she goes, "Girl, you just completed 4 years of college at an amazing school. Give yourself a break because that is an insane success." And I just look at her each time like a deer in the headlights and I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess that is pretty cool. And I did work really hard. So take a second and think about your past successes or what you recently achieved. I mean, a year ago, I was freaking out about getting some project done in time, and I did it, and I got my diploma, and now we're here, And that's mine. But I don't care what age you are. Everybody needs to give themselves credit for where they are now and what you've accomplished to get to where you are now. And thinking about your past successes reminds you that you were capable of getting things done in the past and reaching your goals. So just because you're in a period of uncertainty and not knowing what the future looks like, remind yourself that you were able to get things done in the past. So there's nothing stopping you from, continuing that in the future, and you still have those skills that you can build on. Okay, this leads me to my next one, which is just to be kind to yourself. Remember that uncertainty is literally innate. We all deal with it differently. It's something that we can't control because it's literally built in us. So I think it's important to remember to be patient with yourself. Okay, and the final method I want to share is to practice mindfulness. So genuinely, for a while, I don't think I really understood what mindfulness meant. I had and still have 10 million thoughts going on through my brain every single day. So I didn't understand how I was supposed to be mindful. But I learned that mindfulness is not just, about sitting down and being with your thoughts and trying to clear your brain. It's about learning to give yourself distance from your thoughts and understanding where they're coming from, what is true, what is not, what is your stress and anxiety talking versus what is actually you talking. I personally love to journal to get my thoughts out and understand where everything is coming from. I love therapy. I wish everybody could go to therapy. That's another great way to learn to be more mindful about the way you move in life. And even if you just talk to a friend or a family member, that can help you get your thoughts out, and it can also help you gain fresh perspectives. Okay. So that is all I wanted to share about what I learned about uncertainty and how to manage it. And I'm curious to know what you guys think and also hear what has been helping you if you're struggling with this right now, or if any of you have already learned about these different methods that I found. And if you have and done some of them, tell me if they've actually worked for you. I've done only a couple and I think that they're pretty effective, but I'm curious what you guys think. So before I end the episode, I actually wanted to try and do something new. I always like it when I know about the host of a podcast because then it feels less like a stranger is talking to me, and I genuinely want us all to feel like we're on a huge group FaceTime or something. So, in the spirit of transparency, I thought I'd give some random life update at the end of each episode so that I don't sound like a complete stranger. Okay, so the other day, my friend Dechen, who was in season 1, shout out Dechen, taught my family and I how to make momos again, which are Tibetan dumplings. Guys, I felt so accomplished because she approved of my momos, and I really want to share that. We devoured them in 2 days. We made so many. And I already know this is going to be like my new favorite recipe for life. And I'm going to make it for my future kids. And they're going to be like, Mom, these are so good. And I'm going to be like, guys, you have no idea how long it took me to learn to make these. But anyways, I highly recommend trying momos. If you don't, you're missing out. And that's on my not hot take. So anyways, that was my little something that happened this week. So now you know that I learned how to make momos and that they're really delicious. Okay, so thanks for listening to What Now. If this episode hit home, I'd love for you to subscribe and share it with a friend who's figuring things out too. Until next time, take care of yourself and remember, we're all just figuring it out as we go.